Affinity Xtra, be extra.
Hi guys, welcome to 7 Sharp. It is me again, Blue, your host for this evening. Today I'm joined with two great and amazing friends. Go by the name of Wayne and Shane. How you guys doing?
Good, yeah.
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Now, today's subject is one that I've been advertising quite a few times on our show. It's the first time we've had a men's forum, particularly in this manner on the show. And so we're going to kind of go straight into it and deep stuff, really. So I'm going to start with you, Shane. How long have you been married? Or just introduce yourself, actually, rather than telling your marriage. How long have you been married for and who you are? Who are you?
Was that me, sorry?
Yeah, you, Wayne. Shane, sorry, Shane.
Okay.
So Shane introduced himself.
Yeah. So yeah, clearly I'm Shane. I have been married, celebrated 10 years in March this year. So yeah, big milestone. So yeah, happily married to two young children, 5 and 3. So yeah, that's kind of my backstory in terms of marriage.
Okay, I'm not going to do the whole ladies thing of how did you meet and stuff like that, because we'll leave that for somebody else's show. But Wayne, what about yourself? Introduce yourself too.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Wayne. I'm married now, I'm at 15 years, and we have a son who is 7.
He's 7, you see that? So we've all got children under the tender age of 10. But I'm sure you can agree their behaviours are acting like they're already teenagers and trying their best to move out my house, man. Yeah, well, I'm not going to put my children on blast too much because I know that social workers watch this show. Even though my kids are safe, no children are harmed during the show, but that might change if he doesn't go to bed on time. But now, in previous shows, we've talked about the one. So someone tried to make reference of God making Adam and Eve, and everyone has that specific one for them. No jumping in. Well, you can jump in, sorry. But what made your wife the one to be your wife? Like, how did you know she was going to be your wife?
Yeah, I think certain things that come to my mind was values that she had was similar to mine. Values, moral beliefs. And I was very fascinated by how she saw the world and just life around her. Before we actually started dating, to be honest, we were friends for, I'd say, possibly a year, I can't really remember. But, and in that time of friendship, it was just a natural progression. But to be honest, neither of us were looking at each other at that time as being with one another. Yeah. My wife was at the point where she was in her last year of uni. And I'd already arrived at a place before meeting her that in terms of the whole dating thing, I just locked it off. Just due to my own experiences of dating within the church, just kind of left me feeling a bit like there. So I think in that time of not dating someone, it helped realign my own thinking as to, well, what's important to me? What is it I'm really looking for? And I think that really helped. That was a massive help because that then kind of helped me know what I wanted and what I didn't want. I didn't necessarily have an ideal, if I'll be honest with you. So when I say ideal, it wasn't like a sense of perfection, but just something that lined up with my own beliefs, my own values, the way how I was seeing life, but also leaving space to be surprised as well, to learn something new when meeting whoever I was going to meet, and in this case, with my wife. So yeah, those were some of the things that we would say that drew me to her brain. In a sense, her mind, I fell in love with that. Yeah. But more so in addition, the physical appearance, goes without saying. There has to be that natural attraction as well.
Yeah. I felt the same way when I saw Rihanna, even though that's not my wife. But
I need to edit that part out, man.
I'm gonna leave that in there. Well done to ASAP Rocky for doing the right thing, man. Did it a bit too late though. But what about yourself, Shane?
Yeah, very much along the lines to Wayne, really. Definitely born out of a friendship. So I think our friendship, Jem joined our church. Probably friends for about 8 months or so. Very similar to Wayne in the sense of it wasn't either of us kind of seeking relationship. I was very much at the stage of my life where I was just happy, young, free, single. Loved that life, to be honest, that independence.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really kind of looking for a relationship at that stage. But I think the reason we actually started even a friendship is our first meeting.
Yeah.
And I know this is going maybe into the kind of biblical spiritual sense, but our very first meeting is I was leading like a cell group at the time. And obviously, Jem kind of joined the cell group. So she came to this cell group. I remember going that I hadn't met her before. I just knew this new person joined the church, and she was kind of coming to our cell group. So I opened the door, and I just felt I didn't have a "Thus saith the Lord" moment, but I just felt in my spirit that this is your wife. So as I said, hadn't met her, didn't know who she was at this point. Had heard about her, but this is the first kind of physical meeting. But I did a lot to kind of suppress that because it was a bit like, nah, man, that must be the lust talking. Like, woman's just turned up at your church door and, you feel it's your wife kind of thing. So there was a lot of kind of, obviously journeying through that with the Lord, kind of the Lord confirming that in different ways. But similar to Wayne in terms of having your own kind of, what you're looking for in a partner. So I think her relationship with, her faith, her relationship with God was obviously fundamental. But just a friendship and the honesty, and just how overzealously kind she was.
Yeah.
To the point that it still annoys me. Like, she'll always kind of just put herself secondary to anyone. She'll always kind of go out of her way to kind of help people and do stuff for people. But obviously, it's a real kind of, great character she's got, and just a real zest for life.
Yeah.
And I think because I was quite chilled, laid back, I think that was a bit of an attraction as well. That she was just kind of this rocket almost, so to speak, just kind of take on the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I knew she was, and plus along the way different confirmations, kind of from the Lord and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of how I knew she was the one.
What kind of confirmation did you have to say like this is the one?
So as I said, I wasn't at the point where I was seeking as such.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the ones that I'll kind of share was so I was leading the media team at church. So I had a meeting. I had obviously, like we do, talent match and stuff, one-to-one staff. So having one-to-one with one of the staff, and before we even started the meeting, she's looking in my face, just staring at me. So I'm like, wow, okay. You start obviously wiping your nose, make sure you got nothing stuck in your teeth, or and she's basically said, "Nah, I've got something I need to tell you." So I'm like, "Whoa, okay, this is a bit heavy." And she was like, "Yeah, the Lord says you know who your wife is. Like, stop, almost kind of fighting it. Like, He's told you, you know who it is." So she said she knows nothing of this. I've had no conversations really with anyone at this point, not even with Gemma. And for her to kind of come out with it just like that, I was like, okay, I think this might
man, that's deep still.
But yeah, obviously a few others after that as well, but that was probably the big one.
Yeah, that's massive. If someone's gonna come along and say, you know, your wife is, you're like, yeah, mind your business. Yeah,
and I think just prior to that, I'd say, I said to God, just make it crystal clear to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I need to know you. You know what I mean? None of this whimsical feeling, like, make it crystal clear. Oh yeah, that was
you couldn't get any clearer than that, man.
Definitely,
man. Now we've just been joined by Phil. He gave his apologies for being late. He's black. You know what black people like already. But Phil, we're just asking the guys to obviously introduce themselves and who they are. So obviously I've said your name, but give us a bit about who you are.
Jermaine, you told me we were meeting in 10 minutes time.
I've got a black phone, man. It operates in delays. It's the signal.
I'm early. But yeah, who am I? Phil Gray. I am Christian. I'm the husband of one wife, Sandra Gray. We've got two boys, a 9 and a 6-year-old, and I'm a leader at my church in Wolverhampton.
What?
And a Christian leader in the workplace as well.
I love when Phil kind of introduces himself. He goes almost enough details where he's about to give you a national insurance number, but never the bank details. You
don't get the 3 digits on the back of the strip. Never that.
I don't mind if you want to give a love offering. We can put donations at the end of the show. But we're just asking. So obviously, there's times when people talk about the one. So all 4 of us on this chat are married. And Shane and Wayne's just shared about their experience. How did you know that your wife was the one for you, or the one, if you can use that statement?
Still trying to figure that out.
By the way, this is being recorded, so if she sees on YouTube, you're gonna end up sleeping in the bathtub.
Listen, once we said I do at that altar, you became the one. But in terms of like how we got together, we met at a youth camp.
Oh, sugar.
So, but we were both youth leaders at youth camp. But you don't go youth camp looking young because it's not wise. It's not. You might think you're talking to some 30. Anyway, let's not go there. But I think what the thing that I noticed about her first, and it's a long story, but I was praying for a mentor, some of the young ladies at my church, and the first thing that I noticed about Cassandra is that she was talking to my young ladies, and she was just talking the world of sense. So I literally felt at that moment like, she's an answer to prayer, but I didn't know that God was going to answer other prayers at the same time. So we, did the whole camp thing. We barely spoke really during the camp, but then she came over, asked for my digits, and this is the point where she'd say, I asked for everybody's contact details. But and she sent out a generic text to everyone about a week later, just kind of, hey, how you doing? Hope everyone's doing well, whatever. And then I started running her saying, you couldn't send a personalized text.
Mr. Smooth.
And then, then we just got talking. She was new into youth ministry. I was a good few years in, we got talking on that level. And then, as I spoke to her, we just enjoyed speaking to one another.
Wow.
She was in London, so a bit of distance. And then probably after about the second or third conversation, we started talking about what do we want out of life and stuff like that. At that point I was just like, this is more than just a friend.
So how long was you all dating before you said, I'm going to make the steps and get married?
Well, she wanted to get married straight away. Let me say that. No, I had this whole plan. I called it my philosophy, philosophy. So I had this plan that so I'll meet a girl and then we'll be friends for like 2 years, and then the third year kind of step it up, boyfriend and girlfriend. Then the fourth year we'll get engaged, and then the fifth year we'll get married, because then you'll know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think we met in 2006. We got engaged in 2008. and got married in 2009. I mean, I met at the end of 2006 as well. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was a good couple of years then.
Yeah, like it was 3 years all in. Well, less than 3 years, but yeah, over that span.
Wow. Okay. What about yourself, Shane?
I wouldn't say that I was like holy and waited longer, but I was a bit quicker than that. So yeah, I think we started a friendship in October 2010. Kind of revealed that what the journey we were going through in terms of the feelings for each other and what we felt the Lord was saying in March 2011.
Yeah.
I proposed to in July 2011. And then we were married by March 2012.
So you had like a year practically of how you doing? Let's get married, and you proper went jagged edge, innit?
Yeah.
Like meet me at the altar. Like,
yeah. Our literal first conversation was literally that. Once we kind of revealed, plucked up the courage to kind of speak to each other and say, we feel God has been saying this. It was a case of if we're going to do this, we're entering with this marriage. There's no get out clause. It's kind of this is it. So for me, it was a case of, well, there's no point hanging about kind of thing. So,
man, do you guys feel then that church or the church brethren were a bit pressure in kind of making decisions for you? Because no one said that yet. I mean, like I know before my wife, when I went out with someone from church, it was often the conversation of when are you going to get married, when you're going to make an honest woman out of her. There was pressure all the time of like, come on, if this is the one. And I was like, I don't really think she is still. But it sounded nice because it was like, oh, the church has got the backing. So yeah, and then obviously it didn't, praise the Lord. But yeah, did you guys have any of that experience yourselves?
I never felt pressured. But yeah, I never felt pressured to get married. I think, if anything, I had a lot of people kind of saying, "Oh, don't rush into marriage."
Okay.
Saying, "No, once you're married, that's it." So kind of live your life. And this is Christian, guys. I'm like, what do you mean by live my life? What? And how is marriage gonna stop me living my life? Yeah,
now you know.
Yeah, so, yeah, because I was 24 when we got married.
Oh, okay.
So, people were kind of thinking that we were too young, and my wife's like 2.5 years older than me. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I feel like me and Phil had very similar experiences. Then I got married in 2009, I think. Yeah, I did. And I met my wife. Yeah, I was like doing my fingers like, but I think I met my wife as well 2004. No, it wasn't 2004. 2006. 6,
okay.
7, 8, 9. I think so. We'll have to edit this part out of the show. This isn't about me though.
It's a good thing it ain't.
Yeah, let's make sure that part's edited. Actually, might just leave it in there. Might have to end up, and there's no football, so you can't even cost you and watch the telly. Those used to be good tricks, man. Chill. But what about you, Wayne? Wayne's still here. It's just the voice from the deep.
Yeah. I would say before Emma, there was a lot of pressure put on me from the church that I once used to be at, as to, questions like, so there's a number of potential young women here.
Yeah.
What's happening? Was questions like that put to me. And that was at a time where I was just enjoying single life. But the problem was, I started to notice back then was, because I had a number of female friends, it started to be perceived, well, if he's talking to a number of female friends, surely one of them, he must be seen as his suitor. Yeah. So people thought I was in there weighing up. Yeah. And I just wasn't. I just happened to do you know what I mean? I just wasn't looking that. But there was an element definitely of peer pressure after a while, particularly when you're getting asked questions from those in leadership. And they're inadvertently putting up, that kind of subtle question like, so we noticed you and so and so, not look good together. It it was these little subtle jobs, but I could tell there was more to it. And then as time went on, I was hearing it from different people, particularly the elders. When I say elders, I'm not referring to elders in like the title of elders in the church. I'm just talking like older people than myself at the time.
Yeah.
And so eventually I did start to go out with someone at the time, and it just didn't work out. And here's the thing, you would have thought by then that would have just been like, I would have been left alone.
Yeah.
No. Do you know what I mean? Not too long afterwards, it was again, oh, when are you going to get married? And, a single man like yourself, you're handsome and rare. I had one woman go as far as telling me that she believed she had a vision where she saw me in my wedding suit, and I got it from America. And she started unwrapping details of what my marriage was going to be, which none of them came to pass because I didn't go to New York to get married, and I didn't get married in the suit that she predicted I was going to be in.
Yeah.
But I say all this not to have a dig, but definitely there is always an element of peer pressure within the church.
Yeah.
For someone to hurry up and tie the knot. It's like to say you can't stay single for too long.
Yeah.
Is what I found. And then the opposite side of that was, sometimes, to be fair, you get them approaches from some of the single women, and I know game when I see it, so to be like, yo, I ain't really feeling that, so so yeah. So I got to add to that one.
Here's a question then. This is a random one. I've not put it forward to you guys before, but you reckon it's harder now for someone to identify who is, I'm going to use the term, I don't like it, but I'm going to use it, who's wifey material now than it was, say, 10 years ago? Because I feel like the dynamic in church and how women are and present themselves now is very different. So for those, and what I mean by that is, those that have been single for so long, they're no longer looking for a husband. They're too independent now. So they come across like, I've been waiting for a man, but God hasn't given me one. But when God's ready, I'll have one. But if he doesn't come now, then it's almost like there's a big list to live up to be Mr. Right for that woman. So now she's got her car. Now she's got a big house and stuff like that. It's like, if you come in, you've got to bring something of equal value. Whereas I would say when we were younger, it didn't feel so much pressure, like we were all at the same place. I don't know, what's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think part of that is a bit of an influence of not necessarily listening to just the church.
Yeah.
The influence of the church. I think we were talking about this in Talent Match. A lot of people are listening to people like, I don't want to name drop, but people that speak about high value men or high value women. And that kind of influence is kind of infiltrated even into the church.
Yeah.
So to speak. So I think that obviously causes a lot of challenges, so to speak. So yeah, from that perspective, maybe the influence of the world is probably making it a little bit harder if you're, if that's your influence and that's what's kind of shaping your perspective on relationship.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think as well.
Yeah.
I think the whole. I've had conversations with girls that like a guy, but because they know that their friends wouldn't be feeling it in terms of he's not earning enough, or do you know what I mean? Like, not got the big car or whatever, or maybe doesn't look fit into the aesthetic look of, and so they're like to go through with that.
Yeah.
But they like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that's absolutely mad to base life on other people's. But it's it's kind of Instagram generation, isn't it? Everything needs to look.
Yeah.
And they're looking for that Posh and Bex thing. Yeah. They're looking for the house to look Chris, everything to look. But and then when you turn off Instagram, what's really going on in those lives, you don't know. But a lot of it is a lot of mess.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
It's true.
What was you going to say, Wayne?
Yeah. No, I was just thinking like the culture of today is set up in a very pretentious way. So I think saying to what Phil just talked about there with social media as an example, people are now trying to live up to a lifestyle that we know in a number of cases they're not living that lifestyle. Or is it about that they're wanting to be accepted? Is it that they're wanting to be seen, so that in the sense of the dating world, they believe, well, the culture says this, that I've got to have a certain, certain job, a certain amount of income, a certain look about myself, the car I drive, the way that I behave, and then the way that I think is then that will then be accepted by the culture. Yeah. Problem is with that, we know then that's more, as Shane said, a world way of thinking, but that culture is very much in the church. Yeah. Because because if you've got, and here's the thing, I guess it then comes down to as to what culture is the church setting for someone who is single, for someone who is in the dating scene. Because if they're coming into church based upon what the culture has said from the world's point of view, and that's what they've been ingrained in, the church then has got to raise a standard to that and say, actually, no, we need to change the mindset here of what you perceive and what you believe. And I'm not saying, actually, don't get me wrong, when I say the church needs to, I think probably more, I'm saying that more as an emphasis, more so now than ever. Because when I work with the young people and we sometimes get into conversations, particularly with the boys, when we get into talks on relationships, it's messy. Yeah. Their way of thinking is messy. It's so misconstrued in so many ways that they actually couldn't hold or maintain a relationship even if they tried. What they would, do you know what I mean? And why is that part of it? When I listen to them, it's the culture around them, because the culture dictates you must be this way, you must move like this, you must think like this. And if their friends around them are doing the same, that's a massive influence right there. And and in some cases, some young people I've worked with, their parents think that way too. Yeah. So their parents project a certain image. The child buys into that image and then believes that's the image, that's the way of thinking that I need to be doing out in the world, but also what I need to be bringing into a relationship. So that's just my thoughts in regards to that question. And
you brought a good point, actually. I never thought about it until just now, but do you think there's much representation, and not just for young people, I'm talking more for our age as well, of marriage? So like, for instance, I don't want to put them on a high mantle, but there's always those celebrity couples. So you've got the whole Will Smith and Jada, you've got your Jay-Z's and stuff. I mean, other than TD Jakes, who's kind of like grandparents' age, I didn't really feel there was anyone young representation of Christian couples. That makes sense. So are we lacking role models, or do we even need them to show positive relationships?
I think it's about where you're looking, isn't it? So, as we say, the culture is skewed in a particular direction. So the culture is going to put its champions on a pedestal. And more often than not, they ain't doing it. People probably looked at Megan Good and Franklin, Devon Franklin, and thought, they're good Christian couple. He's a preacher. And it mashed up, and you don't know the ins and outs of people's relationships. But it's like, where do you look then? You're going to look at celebrity, Will Smith and Jada Smith and all of their messes out in there, or are you going to look closer to home? Because I know in my church there are and in my family there's lots of solid presentations of people who are longevity in marriage, and it doesn't look like the Hollywood picture. Do you know what I mean? And there are rough times, and there are things that these individuals have had to overcome, and you kind of think, what, you stayed in the marriage and that, you know what I mean? And you guys came through this and whatever way. It's not always pretty and nice, but it's real. And I don't think there's enough of those stories though, bro, because I think there's times where I've heard people say, we went through this completely at the end. So you could, there's a guy that I know,
And I'm like, how are you and your wife? And he's like, we're not together anymore. And it's like, okay, well, what happened? Madness. And then they'll go through like a history of things that they did. And it was like, well, how come you didn't reach out? Or was there no one to reach out to? And it's like the embarrassment of telling people that me and my wife ain't talking, the embarrassment of saying we're talking about divorce, you know. And I was like, but these are, I don't know about everybody else, but there's been times in my own relationships where we've been like, yo, that divorce button sounds pretty tempting right about now. Talk to me like that again. Like, I'm gonna press it and get out. I think I'd be quite good being by myself. Obviously, you know, it's not true, but there's not enough conversations where people talk about and say, yeah, I was ready to get off, man. Like, I was looking for a flat for £250. That's the only reason why I'm still here. Nah, that's not my story. I'm just saying. But yeah, so I don't feel there's enough of those conversations or stories where it sounds normal. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can feel like you're in silos of your own relationship.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is, you know, marriage is probably, well, it is, isn't it? It's the most intimate relationship you have on earth. So,
yeah,
you know, people don't feel comfortable kind of airing out their business in that sense. Do you know what I mean? And I hear where you're coming from, because, you know, I think back, we probably all can agree with this. Like, you think of your grandparents, and, you know, you all of a sudden there's this half uncle and half auntie, and and you know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know exactly what's going on. But even that, you know, it's not talked about. It's just like, we've got through it, we've come out the other side, and, you know, here we are today, kind of thing. But yeah, so I think there's probably that lack of kind of, you know, wanting to air your business.
Yeah.
Kind of feed that.
Thank God our grandparents didn't have Facebook at the time. Otherwise, most of us might not be here. What were you saying, sorry, Phil?
No, I was saying Facebook. When they survived in those times, they didn't air their business, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I just think you need to look at those images. You need to look at those kind of pictures and examples instead of, you know what I mean? It's like you overreach, and the thing that you're overreaching for, there's a million miles away. When you get up close, it's not what you thought it was anyway.
Yeah. Okay. We're coming towards the end of the show, and we didn't even play a track today because we're quite into what we were talking about. But last question then, I'm going to ask to you guys then is, so some of us have talked about obviously consulting God, and people have reached out and kind of helped with making helping you to identify that the woman you're with is, you know, your wife and who you want to be with. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking for a wife? So if you had to do it all over again, in obviously 2022, what tips would you give to somebody or your younger self to say, look out for these things? Because I know I'd give myself, not with my wife now, but there's a whole bag of red flags with other relationships I would give. Like the weave was the first one. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
You're getting cancelled, bro.
Yeah,
definitely.
That was Jermaine that said that.
That wasn't Jermaine. Someone jumped into our Zoom and talked on my behalf, man. That's disrespectful, that is. We're going to have to email Zoom and get that sorted.
Yeah, but you know what? I'd say to start off with, and it's cliche, but cliches often become cliches because they're real.
Yeah.
Pray. Pray. Like, you know, at 24, I was on it. Do you know what I mean? In terms of prayer, in terms of seeking the Lord, in terms of Bible study. If that wasn't the case, I probably, I don't know, might have been warded off. Do you know what I mean? Might have been frightened, or as like you were saying, showing lack of clarity, that type of thing. But like I have a good, you know, idea from the Word of God. Yeah. What are you looking for in a godly woman? And bring, just pray, and that's your stuff. Because actually, you know, before you find the wife, or when you find the wife, all of your flaws are gonna come to the top. Yeah. So, be praying about working on yourself and your issues and all that kind of stuff as well.
Oh, okay, absolutely. What about yourself, guys?
For myself, I think having, you know, and kind of following what Phil said, getting into the word and understanding what marriage is.
Yeah, man.
Because a lot of people are seeking and wanting something, but what is marriage? What does godly marriage? What's the vision of marriage?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially in a world where marriage is, we hook up today and in 2 weeks we're divorced.
Yeah.
That's the culture we live in. What's the counteract to that, and understanding how you can have a marriage like that. The role of the husband, the role of the wife, godly family. So I think understanding of marriage is key. And following what Phil said, I think preparing yourself.
Yeah.
Some good advice I have from some of the leaders around me is, you're going to be the leader of the home. So, what you bring to the table spiritually, what you bring into the table financially.
Yeah.
All those kind of practicals. In your single years, use that time to kind of work on some of those. So, you're never perfect. Obviously, when you enter a marriage, it's a journey.
Yeah.
But at least you've got a good foundation to kind of, propel from.
I hear that, man. I hear that. And what about yourself, Wayne?
Very much in agreement with Phil and what Shane has said. Those are just really important in more ways than one. I guess what comes to my mind really is, I think it'd be good to have someone that you can confide in, from a male to male and female to female point of view, because you need that level of accountability, because at the end of the day, you can't be expected to go through the process of wanting to be married without actually having some of the obstacles that might get in your way whilst you're still a single person that, will try and trip you up along that path. But I think, so there is that level of accountability, but I think also it's just about having to share with someone. And I would probably say particularly it has to be someone who's married. I wouldn't necessarily say that a single person should sit down with the next single person.
Yeah.
I think it should be someone married. Yeah. And I think it should be someone who at least sets some form of good example of how their marriage looks like. Now, I'm not saying that needs to be perfection. We talked about earlier, like Will Smith and Jada. At one stage, those people, both of them were held, I think, very much on a pedestal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But look at their situation now.
Yeah. Phil was like, not by me. He was Mr. Men in Black, man. He was. Yeah.
But to be fair, they were like that ideal, weren't they? But we know, unfortunately, their situation at this moment in time. But I'm just kind of saying, maybe, a single person should line up with somebody that's married, a married couple, someone that they can confide in, who can actually support them.
Yeah.
And also be able to then share with that single person what marriage, like what Phil says, understanding what the word says in regards to marriage. But then that really is important. But then you're also going to get it from someone who is living it, and who's actually like talking about how the word then comes even more to life in their marriage, and if it works, what are they? And I'm not saying that they need to make it sound like everything's hunky-dory. Be real.
Yeah.
Let that single person know, look, there's going to be these kind of challenges, there's going to be these kind of obstacles, and, how would you deal with that if you was in that scenario? So, that's probably the one thing that comes to mind. And then the second thing, and this sounds really cliche, what I'm going to say, but...
We're ready if he fails to do it.
I think listening to earlier, when I was listening to Shane, and I think as well with Phil, there was truly beauty in waiting, and just allowing something to be organic rather than it just being processed and manufactured, and then it just doesn't come out great. And the reason why I say the waiting is so key on God, because I remembered at the time when I was single and I just decided, you know what, let me step away from this whole pressure that I was feeling with the church and let me just do me and not be caught up in all of that.
Yeah.
There was a scripture I remember clearly getting from God, and the book it came out of actually surprised me, because I just literally could turn to this book, and I went to Song of Solomon, And in Song of Solomon, I've got it here in front of me.
Careful now, that's a dangerous book party. You know.
This is why I just said
this is the family show.
Why I just said the book was a bit like, yo, what am I doing here? But
Christian porn, man. Yeah.
So, oh no, you did not just say that, bro. You know what? Disclaimer: I am not in agreement with that comment. The book is a love story, you mug. Oh my god. So anyway, let me quickly wrap this one up. A lot of mercy, Sam's gonna bust your head. Song of Solomon 8:4. There's a line. There's more packed in this verse, but there was this one line that really stood out to me. It was actually addressed to the women of Jerusalem, but it was what was said to the women of Jerusalem. I can't even kid you. It really connected with me, and it just says, the first line: "Promise me, O women of Jerusalem, not to awaken love until the time is right." And it was just that part: not to awaken love until the time is right. So is God involved in the whole process of a man and woman come together? You bet he is. Yeah. But and I say that because to not awaken love, I kind of looked at that as God himself is saying, no, wait on me. I will bring love to you when the time is right. And it naturally flourished like that. Those few words for me anchored me until I met my wife. And it really helped. So I kind of say to anybody listening, whether if that connects with you or not, but I would say definitely wait on the Lord. You want his best. You want the best. You want his best, not the world's best, not your Auntie Susu's best, and not Uncle Trevor's best, and who, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't mean that in a way, but too many voices can sometimes get into the mix. Just really wait on the Lord on this one.
But you know what?
It's a big deal at the end of the day.
We're gonna have to do another show on that one, because Phil's doing gunshots and he goes to church. But I think because interesting, I think, and maybe it's a show we need to do with women as well. I think ladies get a hard time because there's a lot of women I've noticed more than men. I think when guys are single in church, they seem to just be cool. You can't really tell. But I feel like when women are single in church for a long time, there's a bit of a look. That's my personal opinion. And there's certain,
true.
Yeah, and there's certain behaviors I don't like. Yeah. And so I think that scripture's really good and it's correct. But I think for some women who've been waiting what feels like their whole entire life, it's wow, God's late because my eggs are kind of dried up. I'm getting older. I'm not looking as youthful as I used to before. The ambitions I wanted to do when I was younger, I kind of pushed it aside. We can't even go into it because of the time of the show, guys. Why we get so deep towards the end?
You know what? You may want to ask that question to women themselves in a podcast and let the sisters bring that one up in conversation. I think as men, we're not going to be able to do that one any justice.
Well, yeah, that's true. I'm not going to do a show. I'm not jumping in there personally because I've done a show with the ladies before and I got etta life for some of the questions I'd asked. So we will do that, but I've got Rose who will run that show for me. But guys, we've come to the end of the show, unfortunately. That time has flown by. I want to thank everyone that's been on the show, from Wayne, Shane and Phil. For those that are wondering where Wayne is, he's busy creaming his elbows, so he wasn't able to come in person. I've seen that.
Nah, man, I'm back. I was yamming. I was eating. Can't be watching me when I'm eating, It's not a experience.
You got some crumbs in the side of your mouth, man.
Yeah.
But guys, bless you for being on here today, and this isn't the last time, as I say to all my guests, because I think there's so much more that we can unpack, particularly from parenting, and one that I wanted to talk about as well, but we won't do today, is with some women in church. I don't want to give women a hard time, but there are some ladies who like to come not fully dressed in church, and so make it quite difficult.
Yo, man, them too, blood. Don't get it twisted. I've seen some man rock up in some outfit. I'm like, yo, you really came for hunting season, innit?
Oh, seriously?
Man, you can't get any more tighter in them trousers or that shirt than yo. No, don't get it twisted, bro. I've seen enough of that.
See, maybe it's probably reading too much Songs of Solomon. But yes, so guys, thanks for coming on here today, and for those that have been listening, thank you for watching the show, and bless you, and we'll see you again. Peace.
thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you comment, and make sure that you're sharing the videos and watching so much more. We have loads of content for you. I hope you enjoy. See you soon.